Great awakening. We give it a few moments for people to get the notification. But while we wait, I am Phoenix Love of a Healer's Haven, Holistic Health and Wellness Solutions. I work with purpose-driven leaders to provide holistic healing solutions to help you achieve your wellness goals as well as work-life balance. I am the helper to the healer and the healer to the helper. I thank you for joining this morning chat for the soul. Great awakening, Queen. Thank you for joining. We are just getting started, so I will give it a few moments for everyone to get the notification and come on in. I wanted to make sure that my charger was on this morning because I didn't want any interruptions with this message because it's a very important message. It's all about spiritual awakening. I got a little sun coming in, so I hope that you can see me okay. But I wanted to have a little of that raw on me this morning. Even if it's coming through my window, it's still good for us, right? So, great awakening, sisters. Thank you for coming in. Yes, yes, yes. Okay, so we're going to get started. So, this message, and let me turn down my little background music a little bit. I don't know if y'all have this, but Soundscapes is amazing if you just want to have some beautiful music and just to have your environment to be more zen and lovely, and it just sets a nice tone. So I often have Soundscapes on. Sometimes I leave it on when I leave my house. When I leave my home, I just leave it on just so that those beautiful sounds of nature and instruments can just it just goes throughout the atmosphere. And sound is very therapeutic and healing, hence is why I use it as part of my practice and the work that I do with clients. But yeah, that soundscapes, if you can hear it, that's on in the background. So, spiritual awakenings. Okay, so where do I begin? There's so many signs and symptoms that you are going through a spiritual awakening. And I often get this question. I have people all the time talk to me about, I don't really know what's going on with me, but I just know that I feel different and I know that I need to do something different. Well, we are living in very precarious days right now, as we can see. All we got to do is look around, look at things that are happening. Some very, you know, um, disturbing, some that are good. There's all types of changes. Even environmentally, there are changes going on, right? So, what this is about the personal transformations that you are having within yourself. And usually, if you're going through a spiritual awakening, you start to feel that at a much deeper level, and you feel it within the very realms of your soul, okay? And you know that it's time for you not only to do something more meaningful in your life or be on purpose or take your whatever you've been doing already to another level, but for you to reach another level of a connection with divinity, for you to reach another level and deepen your spirituality practices. So I'm going to just go through a couple of signs, symptoms that you are going through, you may be going through a spiritual awakening. Because it's important for you to know. Because sometimes when we're going through these changes, especially when it has to do with our spirituality, we don't know. I mean, sometimes we can go through physical changes in our body and we're not really sure. So that's why we go to the doctor. We have tests and different, assessments, and we start to question and monitor, our maybe aches and pains we may be having, or just symptoms that we may be having in our body. Well, when it comes to our spirituality, it's similar. However, there's really no assessment. There's really no test, right? We can't go and call up the doctor and say, hey, my soul is hurting, or hey, I have something going on here, and with my relationship with God, and can you do an evaluation on me? There's nothing for that, right? So we have to go within. we have to look at things from a different perspective, right? We have to be more introspective. It's an inner work. It's an inner, if you want to say, it's an inner assessment or inner evaluation. So it's not about looking outside of us. And see, we are conditioned, especially within this society, to look outside of ourselves for all the answers and everything that we want in life. And that's just not this time that we're living in. That's not what is we're being called or pulled to do. We are called or pulled to do to go in right now more than ever. And really, all of the answers all along, and this is just coming from even our ancestors, that when you go inwardly, that's where all of your healing comes from. That's where all of your answers come from to your questions. But you have to know how to ask the right questions to get the right answer also. So this is like an excavation of yourself. You are becoming an expert on yourself. And the reason for that, when you're going through things, especially spiritually, when you're going through an awakening, you will be more clear that this is exactly what it is. And then you know when you're spiritually guided, you're guided by spirit to know exactly what you need to do step by step. So there's really, oh my God, there's so many. When I was doing my research, when this message was dropped in my heart, there's so many different signs, but I'm going to talk about the main signs. So one, you may be feeling as though your life is sort of empty. There's like it's not real. There's false, and this is where I was just talking with someone about this too. If you look around, just go scroll through your timeline on social media if you want to know what I'm talking about. You and many of you that are therapists know what I'm talking about. Imposter syndrome. So imposter syndrome is coming up a lot, right? Because you feel like something is just not right. You're not showing up as authentically as you would like to. Okay, and or you may feel like you may have clients or customers that you're working with, and your family members or friends that you're, giving advice to and you're helping, but you're not doing those things yourself. So you start to feel like you're not showing up authentically, or you start feeling like your life is just false or it's a fraud, and you need to do something, or you're just feeling very empty. You're feeling very like there's a huge void or a hole in your life that needs to be fulfilled. Okay? So that's number one. You start feeling that way. Because I know, and a lot of this that I'm telling you and I'm sharing with you, I went through this process years ago. So I'm telling you from experience as well as just research and what's out there. Okay? The other thing is, and this is where a lot of my clients come to me. They feel completely lost. You feel completely lost. You're like, I don't understand it. You can been going through life. You could be in your 30s, your 40s, your 50s, and then all of a sudden you start feeling lost. Like you don't have direction, or you don't know where you fit in. A sense of belonging is like it seems to be far away from you, or you feel disconnected. That's another sign that you may be going. And this is something that comes up suddenly, or maybe you've been feeling it for the past year or 6 months or 2 years, and you right now it's just a stronger gravitational pull on you about it. Number 3 is you intuitively know that there's something more to life. There's a deeper meaning and purpose to life and to your life, and specifically, there's something that you should be doing. The sun. Let me see if I can move it. There's something that you should be doing that's greater than you, and you feel it. You feeling these things deep down in your soul. Sometime in every corner of your body, every corner of your mind, you're feeling these things. So it's so powerful that you wake up every day with this thing on your chest. Okay? So that's number 3. You intuitively know that there's something more to life. There's something more to your life and what you should be doing. Number 4 is that you start to question everything that you've been taught. So you've been hearing, I'm sure, again, just in this social media realm, you've been seeing people posting, and even you may have even posted about it, that it's time to unlearn everything that we've been taught. It's a reprogramming that's happening. Okay, because you're already questioning it. If you're in a spiritual awakening, you're already questioning everything you've been taught. You're going and doing your own research. You're sitting there and you're saying, you know what, this don't make sense to me anymore. It's not clicking for me anymore. And I'm not just talking about religion and spiritual practices. I'm just talking about everything in life. From what we learned in school, what we've learned culture, from a cultural standpoint, what we've learned about the country we live in, those of us that live in the US especially, but even in other parts of the world. You start to question you start to even question what you've been taught from your parents, your families, how you've been brought up. Because a lot of us, again, we got to think about it. It's generational learning, right? Our parents can only teach us what they know. I was just at an amazing event yesterday, and I see a couple of the sisters on here this morning with Dreamcatchers New York, and it was all about SMART goals. Looking at your finances and taxes and investment. Two amazing speakers, Chris Webb and Von Williams, and they were just really sharing some very, very important and vital information. I shared the live, get a chance. I shared it on my main page and in this group. So check it out if you haven't. Very powerful information that we need to know for generational wealth, because many of us have been misled. Many of us have not been taught, and not because our parents didn't want to teach us. Some of them, they just didn't know. They know what their parents taught them, right? So we didn't get a lot of information that's out there. And then there's so much technology. So there was a lot of wonderful apps and information and resources that was shared. So yeah, check out that live. But I'm bringing that up as an example that we have to be sort of reprogrammed on every level about our finances, about our health. This is why I have this community, because there's things that I know I didn't know a lot of this stuff when I was growing up. Listen, my family had a soul food restaurant on the come up. Okay? So I was brought up on pig feet. Y'all listening to me? Pork, right? Eating, very salt-based, heavy salt-based, iodine salt-based, the blue, I don't even know, it's a container, with the little girl with the rain umbrella and the rain, that salt, which is no good for us, right? Not Himalayan salt, pink Himalayan salt, not sea salt. I was brought up on eating, cornbread and, stuff from the South, because many of us, our families are from the South or from the Caribbean, and we were brought up eating a certain way, which we know contributes, 80% of our diet, or 80% of our health is based on our diet. So when you know better, you do better. But this is what I knew, and this is what many of you knew. So this is what was programmed in us. So now we have to question everything, right? From our health, from how we were taught to save money or not, making money, earning money, go to college, get a good education, get a good job with benefits, and work there till you can't work no more, and then retire, and then you die. That's not living. you know that's not living. It's about living abundantly. It's about living on purpose, right? So you're starting to question everything. And then the last one is that you feel the need to be alone more often. And in this community, I talk about unplugging all the time, taking that time of solitude, whether it's in the morning, it's in the evening, it's taking a few minutes in the middle of the day, if on a lunch break, whatever you have to do, so that you can spend that time in, I want to say in the spiritual realm, or connecting with divinity, so that you can be centered, so that you can be able to hear and know exactly what it is you're supposed to be doing. See, we live in a world that somehow noisy has become the way. Noise and chatter, and everybody talking and always being connected, and everybody walking. I was taking the subway. Most of y'all know I'm in New York City. I was taking the subway for the first time in a long time. The subway and the Long Island Railroad, and I totally forgot it was St. Patrick's Day. So shout out to all my Irish brethren that's in this community. I totally forgot until I got on the train. I was like, oh snap, that's right, the parade is today. Lord. Y'all had to pray for me yesterday. It was so crowded. I mean, I loved the energy. It was beautiful because they was just having a good old time and everybody had their green on and it was just, it was beautiful to see. But for me, I just was like, oh my goodness. Everybody got their phones and there's so much talking and people are walking and they got their face glued to the phone. They don't even see you. They're about to knock into you, and I said, wow, we are so overstimulated. We are so inundated with messages. I'm like, how could we possibly think straight? How can we possibly stay centered? How can we keep these chakras aligned when that is the norm these days, right? So that is the new norm. But remember, that's not how it's always been. That's not how that's not how any of this works. So when you're going through your spiritual awakening, right, you're going to want to do the complete opposite. This is the best way to sum it up. And the sun is moving because that's just the way it is. I want y'all to be able to see me without this shadow. Okay. So, the best way to sum this up is that you are going to feel very strongly in your soul, in your spirit, in your gut, your intuition, that you want to do the complete opposite of everybody else. You're going to want to pull away. You are practically going to want to be a recluse, okay? Because the society is telling you this is how you're supposed to be. And if you're not doing this, something's wrong with you. No, it's nothing wrong with you. You're right on. If you are experiencing any of these things, you're in the right place. You are right on time. There's nothing wrong with you. You are tapping in. That's what's right with you. Okay? I'm here to tell you. Because those of us that are already in our spiritual awakening, or we're going through it, or we know we're light workers, we know we're called for this time, and that's what this community supports, and that's who's in this community mostly. So I know I'm speaking to the right people, and I'm speaking to people also. I'm speaking to somebody's heart right now who are right smack in the beginning or in the middle of their spiritual awakening, and they need answers, and they've been seeking answers. Because you are questioning the very essence of who you are, because you're like, what is going on with me, and you're feeling like, you're feeling a little uncomfortable. And I will tell you, and this is how I'm going to close it. I'm just watching the time, because I know I started a little late, so actually we got a few minutes, and I want to pray for you as well, because it was put in my spirit. Usually I do like a devotion at the end, but I want to pray for you, because I know whatever stage you are in your spiritual awakening, it's tough and it gets very uncomfortable. So that's one thing I want to really caution. So yeah, let me just go review the 5, because I saw somebody scribing. Okay, Melissa, thank you. It should be number 1. Wait a minute, I lost my place. I don't want y'all to miss this. In case you're catching the replay, just put #replay. If you have any questions or comments, just drop it in the comments, or if you want to contact me directly, you can, okay? If you have questions, because this is very important. I really want to support you in your journey of your spiritual awakening, those of you who are going through. So number 1, just a recap, is you feel as though your life is false or empty, okay? And I gave the example of imposter syndrome. Number 2, you're completely lost. You're trying to find meaning or purpose in your life. Number 3, you intuitively know that there's something more to life. Number 4, you're starting to question everything that you have been taught. Everything, every aspect of your life. Okay? So that's that reprogramming. And number 5, you feel you need to be alone more often. But so you might find yourself isolating more. Okay? And it doesn't mean that you don't want to be a part of a tribe or a community, like, many of you that, you're here, of course. But it just, you're feeling, in the physical realm that you need to be by yourself more, which is good. That's a good thing. I just want to make sure I'm not missing, because there's other ones. But like I said, I wanted to just give you a couple. This is a very important one. 2 of them, actually. You see through the illusions of society, okay? And if we turn on the news, we see that there's a lot of rhetoric. There's a lot of messages. It's hard to even decipher what's facts, what's, I don't want to use fake news, but that's that that terminology, fake news, what's real, what's reality, what's propaganda, what's distractions, because most of it is distractions. Okay, most of it is really distractions from the work that you need to do with yourself. Okay, and we can look at our government, we can look at the media, celebrities, all of that as examples. All right, so if you're in a spiritual awakening, you're starting to really, I don't say oppose everything you hear, but you definitely are looking at it from a different lens. You see through it. You see that it's not, this is not something that I really have to adopt for myself. Okay? And then you're experiencing more synchronicity. You're definitely more in sync with, I want to say, in tune with nature, in tune with even the animals. You may starting to really research and understand that we all have like a spirit animal that we are attached to. My spirit animal are birds, and I've spoken about that before. And I've been studying it more and learning more about what that means for me. But you're just more connected. You're more connected to God's other creations, right? And you feel it on, you can feel it on a deeper level too. So that's a big sign of a spiritual awakening. And just feeling more deeper empathy and compassion for others, because again, you're called to help. You're called to heal. We are being pulled and drawn to help and heal this land right now. So these are all signs. And like I said, there's countless signs. There's other ones as well, but these are really the most, I want to say, the most important signs that you can look at and say, you know what, I may be in a spiritual awakening. Okay? So what I want to close, besides with prayer, is that I want you to really be careful about who you are aligned with right now. Because there are going to be people in your life that, how can I say this? There are going to be people in your life, they're going to challenge everything that you're believing and that you're saying right now. They're going to challenge your beliefs. They're going to challenge how you feel. And there's going to be people actually telling you how you should feel. They're going to say, oh, well, you can't. That's not true. Or you shouldn't feel that way. Oh, you're being, too sensitive. Oh, that can't be what's going on. Oh, how do you know that's what's going on? How do you know that's real? There's going to be people that's going to challenge all of your sensibilities, all of your knowledge. And that's okay. That's for them. That's for them. But don't let them embark on your journey. Don't let them have such an authority speaking into your life that you starting to question your own journey. That's what I'm saying. So be mindful of that. And that wasn't even part of my message, but again, I'm letting Spirit lead me, because this is so important that you grasp this. And that was specifically for someone, because some of us have more people, in our lives that's actually speaking into our life than others. Like, I made sure at this age and stage, and because of the work that I do and the work that I'm called to do, that I don't have people speaking into my life like that. I'm extremely, extremely protective of my energy, my space, and certainly the words that are spoken over me and to me. I just don't. I listen, I take information, and then I pray about it. I don't let someone be, how can I say it, an intermediate for me or intercessor on that level. Like, no one has to tell me what God has for me. You understand what I'm saying? And I know many of you know what I'm talking about, that, people that prophesy to you and say you should be doing this and doing that. No. You have to know that for yourself. You have to know that intuitively in this time. Okay? And I'm speaking to somebody. I don't know who it is, but I'm definitely speaking to somebody, because somebody has way too many, it's nothing wrong with having a counselor or somebody giving you some advice, as long as they have your best interest at heart. But someone has way too many people in their lives that are dictating their life. That's telling them what they should and should not be doing all the time. And telling them what they should be believing all the time. Yeah, that you have to know that for yourself. You have to, and this again is part of the spiritual awakening journey. The stronger you build up that relationship with divinity, with God, the less you will need people to intercede and be an intermediate for you, telling you what you should be doing and feeling and believing and all of those things. I'm not saying you can't go to church, and I'm going to church today. You can have your pastor, you can have counsel, you can go to temple, you can go to the mosque, whatever your beliefs are. However, however, even friends, even families, mentors, just be careful that you know for yourself, and then those messages are just confirmation. Messages should be those messengers sent, they should be confirmation, not the word. Okay, I hope I'm making sense to someone, because that was for someone. All right, so the last thing I want to talk about, and this ties right into what I was just saying, so it's interesting. I'm just going to read it. It talks about self-victimization, because what happens, there's all of these spiritual traps that you can kind of fall into when you're on your journey of awakening. And one of them is self-victimization. And I do a lot of this type of work with clients from a clinical standpoint, especially women and women and men actually, that have been victims of some kind of abuse or trauma. You start to really blame yourself and be very self-critical of yourself. And when you're going through an awakening, you're sort of in limbo. So you're questioning everything. You're not really sure. You feel lost. You have all these different things going on. So there starts to be, you can start falling into a victim mentality. So you got to be very careful of this and spend more. It just means more time in prayer, more time in meditation. Because it says, soon after we experience a spiritual awakening and wake up to the insanity of the world, because think about the world we live in, it is common for us to get stuck in self-victimization. We may start to perceive the world as a prison. Okay, and I went through this personally, so I know exactly when I read this, I was like, wow, that I remember that. And other people as the captives, or even the capturers. So you start feeling like the prey and the predator situation that goes on, survival of the fittest, and I've talked about that, social Darwinism, which is definitely playing out right now, right? So you start to feel like you're in prison, and you're either the captive or you're the capturer. Most of the time we feel like the ones that are captive when we're in prison. The shock of awakening may send us spiraling into anxiety and paranoia. Inevitably, we may start feeling like victims, resulting in us blaming other people and the higher powers for how we feel. So we have to be extremely mindful of that we may go into that self-victimization mode for a moment. It doesn't last for a long time, and the more you spend time in prayer, you recognize that it's just a space at that time. And you hold space for yourself, right? And you have to do some reality checking also, because we're spirit beings, energy beings living out this human experience on this earth. We have to function, we have to go to work and do all these different things. But we know there's other realms. We know there's higher realms, there's higher consciousness, and there's a spiritual realm, right? So a lot of the things that we see in the natural, we can take it for face value. Because we know the more that we strengthen our connection with divinity, the more we will have the power to be able to make those changes and those shifts in our lives. So that self-victimization, it will eventually go away. But initially, when you're in the beginning stages of your spiritual awakening, you may experience that, or you may not. It depends. Everybody's different. But you may. I'm just warning you, because when you get there, you don't want to stay there. Okay, when you're blaming everybody else, you're blaming God, because you're questioning, think about it, you're questioning everything. So that blame game can really, it can become a part of your life. You will still feel paranoid, you feel some anxiety. Even those of us that have went through our spiritual awakening, and I spoke about this, I think, last week on my live. Sometimes when you have Mercury retrogrades and different things that's going on environmentally, it can bring up some of this stuff. It can bring up self-victimization. And then once we experience things that are going on energetically, it sometimes can shift you back into that mindset too. So please don't think if you went through your spiritual awakening and you're seasoned and stuff, it can't come up too, because it can. So I think that's also why I'm mentioning it. Okay, but don't get caught in it. That's why it's called a spiritual trap. Don't get caught. Don't get stuck there. Just pray, meditate, get aligned, and that mentality will go away. It's a perspective. Okay. Um, so thank you, Melissa, again for being my scribe. So I want to pray. I want to close in prayer because it's so important that we understand that the key to all of this entire journey of evolution, when it deals with our spiritual practices and growth and who we are, um, and there's so much. I could be on here for another hour talking about it because this is so important and I love it. And it just shows that we are here for such a greater reason than we can even imagine. And the fact that you're in this community, I just want to thank all of you, one, for being here. I want to welcome all my members and thank you for being here. If I didn't say that in the beginning, the new members that have come aboard. And I just want to just say a quick prayer as we close out, and the sun is in my eyes. First of all, my prayer for you is that you have a beautiful and a blessed day, and that you will be able to take this information and, ponder on it, journal about it, let it get deeper into your spirit, let it to get deeper into your soul. So place your hands over your heart. You close your eyes or not, it's up to you. Um, and I'm just going to raise the music a little, and I'm going to just say a quick prayer to close us out. So, Father, Mother God, I just thank you. I thank you for this time of sharing what is on my heart, what you have given me to share with this community, with these beautiful souls that are in this space at this time and those that will watch this later on. I just thank you that you are working on each and every one of us, working on the inner parts that no one sees, but we know, helping us through those private battles that we have each and every day that no one knows, but we know. I thank you for each divine being that is here and for their life and their healing journey and spiritual journey that they're on. I thank you that you give us all a new day, every day, a new opportunity to be able to do something different and to make a shift and a change in our lives. As we are on our spiritual awakening journey, I ask that you take care of our hearts, our minds, our souls, and of course our spirits. That you keep us through all of the ups and downs and twists and turns of going on this spiritual journey. Guiding us along the path and helping to direct our steps so that we are going in the right direction. So that we recognize who we are and also whose we are. That we recognize our power and we recognize that we are wonderfully and marvelously made by you. There are no mistakes. There are nothing that is not out of order. Everything is in divine order. Everything is right on time. That you have created us for a time such as this. So as each of us are on the different stages or in the different stages of our spiritual awakening, that you will continue to keep us and that you will give us all the tools, the resources, the information that we need to be able to address anything and everything that comes up, whether it's from the external or it's within us. that we will be able to combat every negative thought that may rise up in us, any fear, any emotion that is not of you. I thank you that you are already working behind the scenes, that you have gone before us and made all of the crooked places straight. I thank you that no weapon that is formed against any of us shall prosper. Thank you, Divine Mother, Father, for your love, for your compassion, for your forgiveness, and for continuing to work through us to be a blessing to those that need our love and our support. I thank you for each of these divine beings. I pray that they have a blessed and prosperous day. I say this in the name of Jesus. I say this in love and in spirit. Amen Ra. Amen. Ashe. I hope everybody have a beautiful and blessed day. I thank you for joining Morning Chat for the Soul. And if you have any questions, any concerns, feel free to reach out to me. I'm here for support. This space is here for support. And this community is here for support. So please, please, please use it. Oh, and invite others in. Invite others to the community. Okay? And that's how we be a blessing to each other as well, is that we invite others so they can get the information, they can get the tools, and they can get the love, all this positive energy that's in this space. So thank you for joining. And if you're catching this on the replay, again, just put #replay, drop any questions or comments. All right. Everyone have a blessed day.